Hello, everyone, and welcome to KTAL News Now. I'm your host, Anthony Mocklin, and today is Wednesday, which means it is Wellness Wednesday here on KTAL News Now. And, we're going to be diving into a bunch of different health topics and tips ahead of the holidays with Halloween that just passed. If you have a bunch of leftover candy and, ways to go about dealing with that and preparing for the holidays. There's going to be a lot of food, a lot of family fun. So we'll have all of that covered for you today on Wellness Wednesday. But if you haven't yet, be sure to visit our website at ktalnews.com, which is where we stream this show every day, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. But it's also where you can get all of your local breaking and trending news topics around the area in Shreveport, Bossier, in East Texas, Arkansas, and even Oklahoma. So we have you covered on all of your bases, but let's dive into today's topics on Wellness Wednesday. And first off, if you haven't heard this, you're probably living under a rock, but we are in a government shutdown right now. It is now day 36 of that shutdown, making it the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. And with that comes a variety of suspended services for people in need, and even federal government programs and other areas, specifically airlines. If you are planning to travel these holidays, it might be pretty up in the air with the shutdown, because this is these air traffic controllers, they aren't getting paid. They are calling out of work. Like 80% of them, I believe, in New York ended up calling out of work this week because, like I said, they're not getting paid at all while the shutdown persists. So, they need to find other ways to make a living and put food on the table for their families and provide for them. And it's just really not good all around. And those who are under the Affordable Care Act, they saw their premiums spike up to 300% starting on November 1st when open enrollment began. And the most hot button topic, at least around this area and just across the country, is the cutting and stoppage of SNAP benefits, which stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and that provides food to families. Over 40 million Americans are reliant on these benefits, and they are now vulnerable with the cutting of those programs and funding. Although the U.S. government said they would partially fund it for the time being, it's still not enough. But if you're in the Shreveport Bossier area, Congressman Cleo Fields spoke more on that and is even hosting a bunch of different town hall meetings where people can come in and ask him any questions about it and see what the future holds for them. But Alexandra Meacham of KTAL has more with the congressman.
Congressman Fields is addressing the government shutdown and what people can expect with their SNAP benefits, especially since 18% of Louisiana's population relies on the SNAP program. Fields says he was happy to see the government of Louisiana provide $150 million to pay 25% of SNAP benefits every week while the government is shut down. He says people are invited to come to these town halls to share their concerns, and he will answer any questions.
To give people some sense of calm. I mean, this is very difficult times. I mean, I've never been through it. I've been through several shutdowns, but I've never been through a shutdown this long, where the President of the United States of America, travels around the world and meet with foreign leaders, but don't even want to meet with American Democrats. But it's tough times because the SNAP benefits have just kicked in. And I want people to have some sense of comfort that this too shall pass.
Tonight's town hall was held at Southern University of Shreveport's Metro Nursing Center campus on Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. He will be in Lafayette tomorrow and Baton Rouge on Thursday.
And if you want more information on that and where to go, you can visit ktalnews.com. It's very important that these families in need get the assistance that they are reliant on each and every day to feed their families and, live a healthy life. And another way that in Shreveport that healing and inspiration is taking place is at Woodlawn High School, where a music instructor is helping students and leading them to academic success. And KTAL's Lynn Vance has more on that.
The singing heard in the halls of Woodlawn are coming from choir director Zachary Burton's classroom. He tells us what music means to him.
It's my escape. I oftentimes, when I'm stressed, and this has probably been since I've been a little kid, stressed, angry, or just needed something to do, I would find myself running to music.
He says music can heal, and he hopes it does that for his students.
I've even had some students that have told me this serves as their calm and their balance.
Choir is one class this student doesn't like to miss.
It was one day where I literally missed probably my first and second period. Then my third period, which is choir, I just came for choir, and then for the rest of the day I was there.
Although Mr. Burton doesn't recommend missing other classes, there are skills learned in choir.
Students, when they come in or into any music education program, they're forced to have to remember things. They're forced to have to learn listening skills. So it just kind of helps the overall student.
For most of them, singing is something they love.
Not only do I sing here at school, like I sing outside of school, like at church. I do solos, duets, stuff like that.
Choir is something good because it inspires students who love to sing to reach for the stars.
I want to go to college for a vocal scholarship. I want to be up there with the big people.
Lynn Vance, Fox 33.
And if you are interested in booking the choir for an event or a company party or anything of that nature, you can contact Zach Burton at Woodlawn High School. And you can find more information on how to go about that on our website at ktalnews.com. And one thing that was really, really interesting to me that I saw was that 2 doctors at LSU Health Ochsner here in Shreveport have been developing this one-of-a-kind surgery that they are making huge strides on. And it helps babies with skull issues in development, and it helps them to correct that before it gets worse as they grow up, and it allows them to live normal, functioning lives. And KTAL's Alexandra Meacham shares behind the scenes with the doctors behind the surgery.
A very technically precise surgery performed on an infant.
We evaluated that patient and we decided that an endoscopic procedure would be appropriate since they were under 4 months old.
Whose skull had fused too early.
And when they fuse early, that means that the brain cannot grow and expand as it needs to.
Making a small incision and inserting a camera to locate and cut out the suture so the skull can grow normally.
You're not doing our traditional open procedure where the entire skull is exposed and you have a lot more room to work. So the technicalities of the surgery are a little bit more difficult, but for the baby it's actually easier.
The team performed an endoscopic cranial vault surgery, the first ever of its kind for this region.
Our institution is always looking to be on the cutting edge, and we're willing to put in the work and do what we have to do to deliver for our patients.
Performed by Ochsner LSU Health doctors Christina Notoriani and Rachel Bishop.
So the surgery went great. Dr. Bishop and I, work very well together, and it was a very smooth process.
Dr. Bishop first trained under Dr. Notoriani.
She was always so supportive of me and wanting me to soar and do well. And so in times of uncertainty, I know that I can always look to her to help guide me.
Going from a mentor-mentee relationship to now working alongside each other, becoming good friends and leaders in healthcare.
Women can put together a great team, and they can lead the team, work within the team, and be great collaborators, and it's all really for our patients.
Their patient's recovery went well and is doing great overall.
This is one of my more enjoyable, fun cases to do. Being able to get the equipment here at Ochsner, get Dr. Bishop and I, we were always kind of pushing to get this done. To kind of have that all come to fruition and take care of that was really a sense of accomplishment and pride for us. and knowing that we can offer this to other people in the community, this more innovative technique, and hopefully, kids can stay here and not have to go somewhere else.
The hospital is working to gain more early referrals for future patients, saying this groundbreaking advancement will mean less hospital stays, blood transfusions, smaller incisions, with quicker recovery time.
If we can offer something that's less scary for a family and has a little bit easier recovery, then that's going to be great for so many children. Kind of an answered prayer that we could give something so beneficial to a child and hopefully be able to service many more kids in this area.
And if you are a parent and have a child who you notice their skull is developing oddly, it is recommended that you contact your pediatrician, who can then refer you to a specialist to receive further care and aid. But as I've said, you can visit our website at ktalnews.com to learn more about that. And with it being recently Halloween, and you might have a bunch of leftover candy that you may wondering what to do with, and it's a lot of sugar, it's a lot of calories that you could be eating, and you don't know how to go about it. The best way to do so, and we're going to go through some health tips on what you can do and what you shouldn't do. And that includes, if you have all this leftover candy, it's best to eat it in moderation. And there's no good candy that is better than the other unless they are, a little bit lower in calories. Typically, hopefully, you want to shoot for around 10 grams of sugar per serving. That's usually the best to eat in moderation. Not saying, have like 4 servings of it or anything, but that's usually the best way to go about it. But nuts and dark chocolate are usually the best if you were to rank them in a healthy way, because those typically have a lot of antioxidants as well as protein and fiber. And, a lot of stores like to have a sale on Halloween candy after the day or two after, the week of. And, it's usually best to avoid these, especially with the holidays coming up. And there's going to be a lot of food, and you don't need all that extra sugar and calories that you want, just sitting around your house. I mean, it's like I said, it's good in moderation. It's fine, but you don't want to just, hoard a bunch of candy in the sale and then just eat that every single day. It's just not healthy for you, and it can cause a whole bunch of problems later on. But with Thanksgiving just 3 weeks away, as I was saying, there's going to be plenty of food to eat with your families. Everybody's going to bring a dish, a side, a dessert even. And, it's generally recommended to portion your plate correctly, especially if you're going to a buffet style Thanksgiving where you kind of just grab a plate, wait in line and with your family, and just go station to station with each and every one of your family's dishes that they brought. And the general rule of thumb when it comes to portions is, first off, you want to have at least half of your plate with non-starchy vegetables, and these can include broccoli, bell peppers, green beans, carrots, cabbage, eggplant, spinach, the typical vegetables that you think of. And, you got to watch for these veggie dishes that have a lot of butter and cream. And this can come in the form of casseroles, especially if they're mixed with like mac and cheese. And I know my mom's going to hate on me for this because she makes this broccoli, chicken, and cheese casserole that is genuinely one of my favorite dishes that I had growing up from her. And it's always such a delight whenever she made it. And I ended up remaking it and replicating it for myself with her recipe. But, if you want to stay healthy, you got to stay away from stuff like that, unfortunately, or just have like a small portion of it just to get a taste of it. But to supplement your meal with other healthier options. And the other half of the plate is divided up into carbs and protein. So a quarter of your plate, you want to have a carb option. And this can be rice, bread, potatoes, and peas. But you want to stick to high fiber grains as well. And that can include brown rice, as well as whole wheat bread and cornbread. And you want to try to avoid or have just small portions of those heavy sauce items that can include mac and cheese as well as potato salad. So that's usually what that other quarter of it is. And then the last quarter of your plate that you want to shoot for is lean protein. And this is chicken without the skin, grilled or baked, as well as fish and bean dishes. And the baked and grilled chicken, I mean, it could be any sort of meat as well. It can be chicken, fish, shrimp, and beef. And if the beef, you can just cut off the fat parts of it, and it'll still be a great option. Great source of protein with all of those options. And if you're cooking up burgers, you want to try to go with a turkey burger and top that off with some vegetables and mustard instead of the normal mayonnaise and cheese. And this can include, lettuce, tomatoes. I love those on any burger that I eat. It's like a staple for me. Whereas cheese, it's more so like a complimentary, and it's kind of like a bonus thing for me. But any burger that I eat, I usually try to have at least lettuce and tomato on it because it is so good. It's so refreshing, and you can't beat it really. But when it comes to desserts, I know that's a huge part of the holiday season as well. When it comes to cookies, cakes, pies, like pumpkin pie right now, and with the Thanksgiving season. And then you have all kinds of other different, if you're from Louisiana, you have pecan pie. That's like a huge thing down south. So, these are best in moderation as well. Like I was saying with the candy aspect of Halloween, but you usually want to have just like a small portion of these if you're trying to watch your weight or your health. It's best in moderation because of the high sugar. If it's deep fried, it's all those oils and grease and the sugar and the calories, that it's just not, all those added together is just not a good thing if you're trying to look over your overall health and long-term health. But when it comes to drinking and you want to pair your meal with a drink, whether it's water or a soda, you want to ideally skip the soda and go for a water or a sugar-free drink, whether that's unsweetened tea or coffee without any sweetener or sugar or anything like that. That's usually what you want to try to stick to when pairing your drink with your food. And if you're planning on drinking alcohol, it's best to not have a ton of drinks throughout the day, and never ever drink on an empty stomach, because not only does that get you drunk quicker, but it's best whenever you have it with food and you have like a meal with it, so you're not embarrassing yourself in front of your family or doing something that you might regret later. But that's all I have today for today's episode of Wellness Wednesday. Be sure to follow us on our socials everywhere at KTAL News, and especially our YouTube page, KTAL News, where you can get all of the previous episodes of KTAL News now. And you can visit our website, KTALnews.com, which is where we stream this show every day, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. If you have any other health tips or any advice for our viewers, I'd be happy to hear that. You can email me at amocklin@ktalnews.com if you want to just dive into any other topics or just talk other areas of entertainment, technology, sports, you name it. I'm here listening, and I promise I'll read anything that you might send my way. So again, that's amocklin@ktalnews.com. But be sure to tune in for another edition of Weekend Events tomorrow, where we look ahead towards the weekend and see what's going on around the area. And that's something you do not want to miss if you're looking for some weekend plans, a date night out. It could be anything. If you don't have any plans this weekend and you're just looking for something to do, I got you covered tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow at 1 p.m. But we also stream every day, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. on KTALnews.com. But for now, I'm Anthony Mocklin. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you for joining us.